On this episode, a creepy clown starts stalking a teen, a guy who doesn't believe in ghosts visits a haunted hotel with his girlfriend, and a couple of ghost hunters have to escape a cult. You're watching True Encounters, real paranormal stories sent in by people like you.
Why are teenagers so f***ing stupid? Good evening, Super Horror family and guest. Tonight on True Encounters, our theme is teens. You might not believe this, but many years ago, I was a teenager. I didn't waste my time running around chasing girls. I invested it pursuing horror babes. Being a teen is hard. You're trapped in an adult body, but lack the experience that real adults have. For the most part, this is harmless. But other times, important times, that adult experience can pick up on cues in the environment that something dangerous is going to happen. With that said, let's all sit back and go on a journey back to South Texas in 2013, when the fair was in town.
Hey Papa Bones, I wanted to share this crazy story from my youth. It's kind of long, but I hope you can use this. This happened back in 2013, when I was 17 and a senior in high school. I grew up in a small town in South Texas where there wasn't much to do. But every fall our county fair was open for business for 7 days in October. It had the whole country scene, livestock shows, rodeos, carnival rides, and clowns. They always kept a full staff of clowns. It was an element that I was never a fan of, to be quite honest. I'm sure most clowns are good people, but these were vagabonds and ex-cons. Basically what I'm saying is, the clowns they hired were usually not good guys. This particular incident happened on one of the last nights of the fair. I showed my cattle on the livestock shows, which led to me having to stay late to make sure my animals were properly taken care of. I had to feed them, give them water, and make sure their stalls were clean. This always had to be done as late as possible, so as to avoid having to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning to come out and do it all the next day. To kill time while waiting to do all of my tasks, I'd hang out with my friends in the carnival area and the pool hall. Typical small town fun. This night in particular, I was meeting my buddies. Let's call them Jay and Red, in the carnival area. Jay was a tall, skinny guy who was kind of a wimp, but overall, a really nice guy. Red was a big redhead guy, kind of a loudmouth, but a solid friend to have. Anyways, I met up with him at the ticket booth. As we were purchasing our tickets, a pretty big clown, like 6'3" with a big frame, was manning the front entrance. He stopped us to try to have a laugh.
Cruising for babes?
He asked in his stupid clown voice. Yeah, totally, man, I responded awkwardly.
What a pity. The cute ones are always straight,
he said. Not that any of us are against anything like that, but that's an odd thing to say to 3 minors, especially when you're in your 40s. But we moved on. As the night went on, it seemed like he was never far from us. He would never be close, but a clown like him is hard to miss. I asked Jay and Red what they thought. Red didn't seem to notice him, but Jay agreed, and said we should leave the carnival and go shoot some pool. After about an hour of shooting pool, Jay went home, leaving just Red and myself. The grounds closed at midnight. It was about 11:30 when I checked my phone. I knew it had been a long day because my phone was nearly dead. I told Red I needed to go check on my animals, and he offered to go with me. Looking back, I should have said yes, but like the idiot I was, I declined his offer. I knew I could finish in 20 minutes or so if I was fast with it, so he went home. As I walked over to the livestock barn, I saw a group of clowns going into one of their trailers that they stayed in while they were in town. This put me on edge, because of the whole clown incident from earlier. Any sound I heard, I'd get anxious and look around. I'm not exactly a small guy either, and back in those days I had a reputation for being kind of a hard-nose, but I've always been terrified of clowns, and it's a fear I still hold to this day. Feeding my animals and cleaning their stalls took longer than expected. Before I knew it, the lights cut off, which was something they did at midnight. I had to use the flashlight on my phone to finish up my work. That's when my phone died. I wasn't too worried because I was finished with my work, but now I'm in this dark barn by myself. It was strange. Even the cows were quiet, and the grounds were empty. I just had a feeling of being trapped. Like if I'd walk an inch, I'd fall into something. I heard something fall over and almost jumped out of my skin. I could have sworn I saw someone moving in the shadows, but I brushed it off to me being paranoid. It was only about 100 yards to the nearest exit, so I started walking in that direction. I kid you not, as soon as I rounded the corner out of the barn, there was the same clown from earlier. Jesus Christ, man, what are you doing here? Oh, I was just out for a walk. Any luck tonight with the ladies? I stood there frozen, not really knowing what to say. Guess not. That's surprising. I could take you places where you'd have all kinds of people flooding after you, he said. I'm good, man. Have a good night, I replied as I walked away. The parking lot wasn't exactly a typical parking lot. It was just a giant grass field, so if it rained, it was a mess. Guess what? It rained. I had forgotten that I parked my truck in the middle of the field, so I was in for a walk. After sloshing through the mud for what seemed like miles, I finally made it to my truck, only to find it in the middle of a mud pit. I knew this would be a problem because it was an old heavy truck and didn't have four-wheel drive. I started it up and tried to gun my way out, but it immediately made it worse. I tried rocking it back and forth, but that also made it worse. Rocking the truck only made it more stuck, so after about 15 minutes of trying that, I shut it off and got out to assess the situation. It was pretty much buried in the mud, and I wasn't going anywhere. You get your truck stuck? I jumped a foot in the air and turned around to see the same clown. He giggled maniacally. Back off, man, or else, I yelled. Or else what, bitch? This time he spoke in his regular voice, which was somehow more terrifying than his clown voice. He then pulled a screwdriver out of his pocket and took a step towards me. I stepped forward and Spartan kicked him in the chest. It felt like kicking a brick wall, but it did knock him back for a second and bought me time to run to my driver's side door. I had a tire iron under my seat, and I had every intention of using it. But he was on me in an instant. I hit him in the shoulder, but since there wasn't much momentum behind it, it wouldn't do much. He chased me around my truck until I hopped in on the passenger side and locked the doors. It seemed to work until he started pulling my door. When that didn't work, he started to hit my window. I had to think fast, so I started honking my horn to draw attention to us. I saw a pair of headlights pop up about 100 yards away, and the clown bolted. A police officer in an SUV pulled up. I jumped out and told him everything. He pursued the clown but didn't catch him, and to this day, I don't think they ever did. The cop was super cool. He pulled my truck out and gave me a phone charger since my battery had died, in case I needed to call anyone. I'll always be grateful for that. Be careful out there, folks. You never know who could be watching you.
Oh boy, whew! I'm glad he got out of there. Personally, I would never date or marry a clown. I'd be too worried our kids would look funny. Our next story comes from Reddit and reads,
Hi, Super Horror Show. Seems like you got a lot of attention, so you probably won't see this. But this is my one and only story. I was 18 years old decades ago. I had this girlfriend who was into paranormal stuff, so we decided to take a trip to this abandoned hotel in an almost abandoned town in central Texas, the Baker Hotel in Mineral Wells. I didn't believe it all. I just went for fun. It was a group of us. We started exploring and working our way up. I was trying to scare my girlfriend a few times. Then we split up and started checking out a few rooms individually. As I was leaving one room that wasn't noteworthy, I heard my girlfriend whisper my name from the bathroom. Thinking she was trying to scare me, I went in, and it was just some raggedy old curtain and some busted tile and a broken toilet. I ripped open the curtain to scare my girlfriend, who I thought was behind it whispering my name, but it was empty. Confused, I then turned to leave and something cold, so cold it almost hurt, grabbed or pushed or did something to my leg, and I fell down. It stayed for probably a second, but it felt like a lifetime. I ran out screaming and crying and looked lame. But that's my story.
Who else noticed his girlfriend was spoken about in past tense? I wonder if he broke up with her because of this. I would've. The breakup would have went something like this. You're hot, and I love the horror babes. But you said this was going to be a fun trip, and a ghost tried to kill me! But if you want to make out sometime, I'm still down. But it has to be in a safe place. Like in a church, in front of a priest, the way God intended. And our last true encounter today comes from Frank.
Hey, I'm Frank, and I love your YouTube channel. I want to share with you a story from my teenage years. It's an encounter I had with a satanic cult practicing dark occult rituals at a location that my friends and I were doing a ghost hunt at. And by the way, I'm from Canada. We just had picture cameras, that's it. No camcorders or audio recorders. This story takes place in my early days of ghost hunting. I was probably 18. Maybe the year was 2006, give or take. My friends and I heard about this place called the Hermatage on the outskirts of Hamilton, Ontario. The place has a long history that I cannot fully cover for the sake of time, but there are legends of a suicide that took place on the property. It was a large residence, a huge stone mansion, which now is in ruins in the middle of the forest. Story goes it caught on fire, and now the ruins just stay there. It has large stone walls and not much more. It has either a couple or a few trails leading to it, and all the trails are going through the forest. It is believed to be haunted. I've gone to this place a few times before this experience, taking pictures in and around the ruins. We never caught anything special, and we never experienced anything paranormal. To be honest, it didn't feel haunted at all. I told some older ghost hunting acquaintances about me doing ghost hunts at the Hermitage, and I was forewarned to not go there late at night because of rumors of cults going there and doing dark occult rituals involving animal sacrifice. They believed it was haunted by demons and also believed that possibly these people could be dangerous. I didn't know what to think of it. I told the person that I'd already gone there a few times at night and never ran into any Satanists, or whatever you want to call them. And we never experienced any paranormal activity, so I brushed off the warning. Even though we didn't have any frights from ghosts, it was still a cool and eerie place to go at night. When one travels to the Hermitage's entrance, it is blocked off and one cannot park their car on the grounds, but back then, just a little ways away from the location, down the road, there was a parking spot on the side of the road for 2 cars. We traveled there in a black van with my baby mama and friends and parked the van at this little spot. There was 4 of us. We all got out of the van and proceeded to go into the darkness, onto the trail that led to the Hermitage. It was like a 7-minute walk through the dark forest. It was actually wintertime as well, so the trails were covered in snow and ice. The trail wasn't all on flat ground. It would go up and down hills in the forest. It was a little eerie, but nothing too crazy. It didn't feel like we were being watched or anything like that, but walking through a forest in the middle of nowhere, late at night, is naturally scary in any location, even if it isn't haunted. As we finally reached the Hermitage ruins, we did our normal thing. Just walk around, take pictures, and sometimes talk to the wind, hoping spirits would hear us in an attempt to try to invoke paranormal activity. This involves asking them to make noise, or for them to show themselves, and sometimes even taunting. But like the other nights before, literally nothing happened, and we didn't capture any cool anomalies in pictures. Now, from what I remember, there are only 2 trails that lead to the Hermitage ruins. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've been there. To be honest, after this experience I'm about to share, I didn't go there for many, many years. But if you were to look at the Hermitage from a topographic view, like Google Maps or blueprints, picture the entrance from the road being at the bottom, and a trail to the right and a trail to the left. If you were to go to the back of the Hermitage, there is no trail, just dense forest. My baby ma, friends, and I were at the very back because we heard this is where the animal sacrifices occur, so we thought maybe we could capture some activity, perhaps take a pic of a demon, or an animal spirit. We took a bunch of pics, and still nothing. Now here comes the scary part. As we were getting bored of this location, we collectively decide we should head back to the trail we came from to walk through the forest back to the van. As we are making our way towards the trail, we spot 5 individuals in black robes, walking in a trance, almost robotically, almost like how soldiers mark all synchronistically. All 5 of these guys' legs moved at the same time. It gave off a weird vibe. Then they all stopped, so when they stopped, we could see the sides of them. They were turned a 90-degree angle to the right of us, while being literally right in front of us. I estimate probably only 10 feet from us. When they stopped, they all synchronistically turned at the same time. It was very bizarre. Like in perfect synchronization. When they all turned in synchronicity, they stared at us for a few seconds. We could not see their faces because it was dark. We could only see the dark, scary silhouettes of their robes and hoods. I noticed the dude in the middle had what appeared to be 2 long metal bars, one in each hand. So when I say middle, he had 2 guys on the left of him and 2 guys on the right. As they stared at us for what seemed like 10 seconds, the guy in the middle with the bars started banging the bars together. By the 3rd ding, we made a run for it. We ran to the trail and started running into the forest. Remember, I told you this is in the winter, and the trail was covered in ice and snow, and wasn't flat because it had hills. So we were running, slipping and falling. Up until that point, I've never been so scared of human beings in my entire life. I legitimately feared for our lives because these weird dudes in black robes at like 2 a.m. in the middle of the forest gave us chase through the forest. While we slipped and fell, never looking back only intensified our fears. I swear while we were running, there were more of them in the forest. I got glimpses of them peeking their heads out from behind trees. I don't know if my fear produced hallucinations, and my eyes were playing tricks on me because it was very dark, but I swear I seen them do that. We would fall, especially running downhill. It was intense, and felt like forever until we got to the safety of our van. But there was a scary surprise for us waiting at the van. Parked beside our van was a car with what looked like a deranged lady with blonde hair, bugged out eyes, turning her high beams on and off repeatedly and frantically, all while giving us a death stare. I estimate she was at least 30. I theorize she was trying to signal the cult members of our location. We all hopped in the van and the driver turns on the engine, and we back out and book out of there. The lady in the car gave us chase and tail-ended us until we got into the city, where she then slowed down and turned around. Reading this probably doesn't give you a feeling of fear that much, but being there and experiencing this was literally the scariest moment I've ever had being scared of human beings. I guess I should have listened to my ghost hunting acquaintances. Sometimes it's not the paranormal we should fear, but the human beings who use their free will to commit harm to people and animals. And if you're one of those cult members listening to this who chased us, I hope we never meet again. Thanks for reading my story. Hope you feature it on your channel. Sincerely, Frank.
Well, that's it for this episode. I'm so glad I'm not a teen anymore, and make much better decisions now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go do grown-up things, like hook up this oil furnace without reading any directions or asking anyone for help. If you want to see more teens doing crazy things, I have another true story about a group of teens that accidentally summoned Satan in a cornfield. You have to watch this. Click here. Until next time, you do matter, so take good care of yourself. Why won't this oil furnace fit? Come on, you piece of trash!